I'm going to stick here with a video I've been wanting to do for a while now, but in particular after just recently as last night, talking with a couple of people who are friends of the channel here, including David Bolak and D. Ben. I had a little conversation real quick with David last night on Facebook, and D. Ben's made a couple of comments about wanting to see some of these blasters make a return from Busby, and I can't help but agree. There are a number of blasters that Busby has made recently I would love to see come back, and some of them that aren't as recent, but I would still like to see them be brought back, modernized, and brought into the new arsenal that Busby is producing with their improved build quality, the improved color schemes, and as of now, the improving ergonomics to go along with their very good and reliable performance. I'm going to start with a few that maybe are personal taste, but I would like to see made into a modernized version. And we're going to start with one of the old standbys. I want to see Busby remake the double shot. I want to see them come back with, they can even still do the shells. I like the shells. They're funny and they're gimmicky, but I like them. But I would like to see them introduce shells that accept modern darts. They've had the double-barreled aesthetic coming all the way into their Walking Dead series. However, it is just a recoloring and reskinning of the same blaster that's been around for a decade and a half. I mean, the one I'm holding is from 2004. That said a lot. Yeah, it says right here on the side, 2004. And this one was the first one I ever had. And for me, that personally says something. It's 15 years old, and they're still selling it. But I would like to actually see it modernized. Right now, if you don't know how they work, it's very interesting. There's videos out there. I won't try to get into it on this video. But basically, when you pull the barrel down, it actually is pulling a rope. And that pulls the plunger back and engages the catch mechanism. Because the actual functional part is not where you expect it. It's not like you would expect when you break it. You're not actually just pushing a rod to compress a spring. No, it's being pulled to compress it. Very, very odd design. It kind of works. But what they could do is make this stock a little bit bigger. Make the priming mechanism a little bit more durable. Make it to where it has and they have to make this a little bit thicker and actually sculpt in a proper grip. But make a priming bar that pushes down and compresses a spring with a direct push rather than a rope, a small rope. It looks a bit like paracord kind of pulling. I would rather see that and go to shells much like these that I have been meaning to get around to doing a video on, these So Sick With It shells that are 3D printed, but these don't have any air restrictors, these don't have any dart posts, and you can use any kind of dart with them. It's a way to kind of revive your old Busby blasters if you don't want to pay the exorbitant prices on eBay for the shells and still have to modify them. But this is something I would love to see in a color scheme like the newer blue, orange, and white, like the monorail behind me. I'd love to see that color scheme done on this, or even like the Revolutions color scheme that I have done, where it's a lot of blue and orange. That would look very nice on this, and I'd love to see it actually be of modern performance. But that's the double shot. One of the first ones, my personal choice, I'd like to see redone. Now another one that's specific to me. I'd love to see a modernized Cougar. And I'd love to see it actually be fuller sized to where the stock's usable. Actually put it in. Because all you do for a Cougar, this is hilariously small for me, but you hold the stock in place, you prime it, you fire it. And in reality, as an adult, you just hold this out away from you like a pistol, and you prime it. It's a very neat hidden way of activating the blaster. And with the vertical vertical clip, getting ahead of myself there, the vertical clip, it's very unique in today's day and age where not a lot of blasters are using the clips, especially vertically. Boomco did it a bunch, and one blaster I really like is the Adventure Force Havoc, of course made by Dart Zone. It has a little side priming bar but uses vertical clips. Nerf tried to do some weird ones with horizontal clips, and pretty much all of them have been subpar. But Busby made the Cougar years ago, like again, looking on mine, 2011. So 8 years old. And still works decently. But I'd love to see a modernized one with a little bit bigger shell. Surprisingly enough, this grip was actually very good even then. Smooth, large enough to get a full adult hand on. All they need to do is make the blaster bigger. And this would be a pretty neat primary if they could make it bigger and more powerful in accepting modern darts. Not bad. You have to, it'll fire regular darts now. You just have to tear out the dart posts. But that's the Busby Cougar. Another old but good blaster that I love, that I would love to see redone, is, of course, the Torrent. Those of you who have ever used one, it's really, really cool. It is a shell using drum fed blaster. You put your darts in your shells. You stick the shells in all the way around, and then when you go to pump this, it's like a combat shotgun style. When you fire it, this port here ejects the shells, and it is fun to use. I would love to see this. It has absolutely horrendous grips. I mean, look at that. You get 2 fingers on it. That's all you get. And it's got a spiked front end. I mean, if you wanted to be real aggressive and just bam, I'm not recommending do that. That would be hilariously overkill. But yeah, you grip it with 2 fingers and your thumb is what you do. But yeah, that's all I can get on there, and I get 1 finger on the bottom. I would love to see one with proper pump grips, whether vertical or horizontal. I'd do vertical on this because of the drum. But I'd love to see this redone. Again, I'm the oddball who likes the shells. But if they didn't want to do the shells, go ahead and give me a pump action shotgun style blaster like this and make it a integrated drum that's front loaded. That's an idea. They could bring back the Torrent name and the form factor. Again, something I think they need to think about is standardizing their stock attachment point, creating new blasters with a stock attachment point, and selling multiple stocks as accessories. They could have a short stock, they could have a long stock, they could have a telescopic stock. There's 3 products that I just mentioned: short stock, long stock, telescopic. They could sell all 3 of those products, make themselves a bit more money, and give the buyers options. Because if a family goes out to buy the blasters, like say the Tactical Storm, if they put a flat back end, a standardized stock attachment point, that is a fun blaster that literally everybody I've ever let borrow it likes. However, it's got this really, really short stock on it. Well, what if you had a standardized stock attachment point for Busby stocks? You had short stocks that kids could use, and you had long stocks adults could use, or sell a telescopic one that's a very sturdy, good quality, that has, like say, 3 placement spots that you could hit a button and it securely latches in. I'm making very, very clearly specifying securely latches in, and then you have blasters that everybody could use, everybody could enjoy, and it would fit ergonomically well to everybody. I'm mentioning that now because I would love to see a return on the Torrent as a pump action, drum fed, whether it uses the shells or is directly loaded, wouldn't care, with a flat back end with a stock attachment point, and I would want a telescopic one. That would be awesome to see. And I've said it before, and I'm not going to dwell on it. This is going to be fairly quick. I would love to see the Champion and the Reaper come back. These aren't as big of a deal. I'd love to see the Reaper come back because I like the shell. But we've got now the Revolution, the Model 1902. Those are good pistols. I love having those. The Reaper would be cool to have just for the form factor. The Champion could come back and be one of those that it has a flat back end, and I would like to see it accept a stock attachment point from Busby with a big long telescopic stock or a skeletal style. That would be pretty cool because this is a very good blaster, and so is this. Moving on to one that I think everybody who watches this channel would love to see return. The Brute. This was basically the best flywheeler blaster that Busby has ever made. It is comfortable. The grip could be a little bit larger. The integrated stock is good. The front grip is comfortable. The form factor looks good. I mean, it still holds the test of time now, years after it was introduced and discontinued. I don't know why they got rid of this, but this thing was a definitively good answer to Nerf's Rapid Strike. The Brute needs to return. Just give it the grip off of the Revolution or off of Abraham's M16 from the Walking Dead series. Design the grip to match that. Put your new color scheme on it. Ship it with your new 30-round drum. Keep in mind, or two. I'm talking to Busby directly here, if you can hear me. Won't mention names there, but the head of marketing, she knows who she is. Sell if you can get your designers and toy crew to do it. This blaster, two of those new 30-round drums as a kit would be a fantastic deal, and it would sell. Because I know for a fact I would definitely get a couple of those kits myself. And there are a lot of people who would love to snatch up that. Like literally thousands of people would buy that the moment it hits the shelf. And that's one that I definitely think should make a return. I'm going to do this as a 2-for-1 package deal on these two. And I'm also going to talk about Busby's Air Max line that came and went as a whole. They made basically what is the best mega firing blasters, period. The Tyrant in particular is still my favorite mega blaster to this very day. And it's been out of production now for a couple years at least. And the Boss is the smaller version of it. If you want maximum power out of a stock mega blaster, you grab a Busby Tyrant. If you're willing to give up a little bit of the power for a little bit more convenient size, you grab a Boss. They both accept the same magazines, which are, Busby ships out with 3, 6, or 12 round magazines. Yeah, get that. Magazine fed mega blasters. Who would have thought that? Yeah. Definitely nobody thought of magazine fed blasters as being better than non-magazine fed blasters. Yeah, what can you do? But I would love to see a kind of resurrection of the Air Max line. Now, I know why they got rid of it. It was supposedly due to low sales. And at the time, I just think it was the wrong timing for the company. The company now has a very good, well-respected position. And in comparison to Nerf, especially with the deal that they have going with Walmart through the Adventure Force line, I think that would probably be a really, really good way to see some of these blasters make a revitalized return. Put new color schemes on it. I mean, this thing literally could be reintroduced today as it is with a slightly updated shell. And by that, I just mean clean lines, kind of get rid of these little designs here, but just like a textured patch here maybe. But put the new modernized colors, and they, other than this piece here, just to give a more clean, modern look to it, I think that they could just introduce this as it is, and they would see a huge chunk of sales go away from Nerf and their mega blasters that they're currently selling, which I think are quite subpar, and they would take a chunk out of it. The Boss, literally bring this thing back exactly as it was, because the grip is good, the power's good, the functionality's good. Just sell this thing with a 6-round mag, and sell this with the 12-round. But who am I? The last one I'm going to have in my hand, and this is a personal wish and hope. Like, yes, it's the hope and dream here. The Destiny. This thing was fun and awesome, wrapped into one package where you pulled the trigger and 20 darts went flying in 2 seconds. I want this thing back. I want this thing back. This is my favorite blaster that has ever been produced. Ever. I do not have one that I would pick over this. If you told me I have to get rid of all my arsenal and I'm only allowed to have one blaster forever, it's going to be this. Make sure I can get a whole stack of the clips, because they're awesome to be able to do this. And I am going to do some paint work and some mods on a couple of these, and I do need to get my hands on some more of them. So if anybody knows of many Destinies you're getting rid of, I'll take them. But The Destiny needs to make a return, and this is one literally they could sell as it is, recolored, and you're going to sell them. Now, what I would like to do is lengthen these two right here. If you were going to change anything, lengthen the two grips just a little longer. You don't have to change the profile. Just lengthen them. Just an inch. 1 inch lower. And put a tactical rail on top. And if you really wanted to, add a stock attachment point back here. Just a thought. But hey, if you reintroduced it exactly as it is with your new colors, I'd be happy. Now, let's set that aside, and some others that I don't have my hands on right now that I really should have a Sentinel. I don't have a Sentinel right now. That needs to make a reintroduction, modernized, longer stock, and you would definitely see a huge amount of sales on that. Another personal one, the Overlord. I would love to see that thing make a return. I love the Vulcan. Nerf discontinued it, then they replaced it with the Rhino Fire, and then they got rid of it. And they brought out the huge Titan, minigun style. Well, Busby could reintroduce the Overlord, rework it a little bit. Instead of it being what it was a smaller kind of version of their competition to the Vulcan. Make it bigger. But make it a tripod mounted 50 cal version, of a blaster. But that's just a few of the blasters that I would love to see returned to the Busby's lineup. And I would love to see that Busby actually takes notice of some of my things and contacts me and says, hey, we like that idea. We actually would like to get this going. That's probably not going to happen, but there's a lot of those things because I am just a big kid at heart. And I would love to see a lot of those things come back. And I genuinely do think that some of my suggestions would actually be big sellers for the company. Things like they need to sell their accessories individually. They need to sell stocks. And like I said, they need a shorter stock. They need a magazine accepting stock. Nerf's done it and sold probably 1 million of them. They need a long stock. They need a telescopic stock. And they need to make their stock attachment point standardized on every single blaster. Your Thermal Hunter stock does not fit the Tactical Storm. Neither one of those fits the Mutator. And that's a problem for a family, or just a dude who wants to accessorize, or a kid who wants to accessorize. Anybody who wants to change things up around. Nerf has probably made a literal fortune off of just accessory sales because of that. They went full on in with the tactical gear and all of the accessories, and they really did a good job with that. I would love to see Busby take a note from that and do the same. I mean, things like this little flip-up sight that came with the Frantic Fury. This is really neat. The thermal sight. And whatever happened to their chronograph? I got to see pictures of it from the Toy Fair. I never got one. I would love to have got my hands on one of their chronographs, because that would have actually been something that I think would have sold. Nerf sold their Chrono Barrel like crazy already. But things like this, they need to sell. And stocks, again, standardized stock attachment point and sell aftermarket stocks for your blasters. But this is just me rambling about things I would love to see from Busby, and things I'd like to see returned, and ideas I think that they could really take a big leap forward. And I've saved one to the end, because this one was talked about with me and David Bullock. I would love to see Busby get into becoming a competitor in the high impact rounds, also known as Rival. They make good springers. Let's just hammer that home. Busby knows how to make a very good spring powered blaster. That is their forte. They know how to make it higher performance than Nerf. I think they need to take a stab at the high impact round market. They need to make a pistol, they need to make a rifle, and they need to make something that's flywheel powered, and they need to make a big heavy hopper fed blaster. They already made a pistol that I think would be very easy to convert. The Boss. Bring this back slightly modified, except Rival magazines. You got yourself a winner. I think people would go crazy for that. Whether it's pump action or bolt action, you need a rival. A rival rifle. There you go. Pump action, of course, is going to sell really well. Bolt action, people love. Make them both. And then make a huge hopper-fed blaster to come and compete. Dart Zone did it through the Adventure Force line with the Quantum, and I've got one over here. Love it. Busby needs to do the same. And I'm going to end the video on that note. If you stayed all the way to the end, I'm impressed. If you did stay all the way to the end, mention what was my favorite blaster of all time, and what was the last topic that I mentioned that Busby needs to take note of and incorporate into their lineup. This is Mongoose Jake. I do thank you for watching. If you actually are able to answer those questions without skipping and jumping around, if you stayed all the way to the end, I really do appreciate it. But I also hope you enjoyed this. So thanks for watching.